It was about 30 years ago, my oldest brother told my mom, "Hey, come on up to the deck with me, and we'll lie to each other about how great it is to get older." I now know what he means. Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Engel Angle podcast here on, let's see if I get this right, Stolen Water Media, Sunset Lounge, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, and all other kinds of platforms. Instagram. I don't have TikTok yet. Maybe I need Periscope. Well, it's somebody's birthday this month. Not mine. The movie Top Gun turns 40 this month. Top Gun is 40 years old. Top Gun came out in movie theaters in 1986, and it completely changed the motion picture industry and specifically what was possible with cameras in F-16 fighter jets. Now, why am I dedicating an entire episode to Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick? Because I've got a real problem with Top Gun Maverick and Top Gun, and they're not the problems that you think of, or the same problems that everybody else has with this iconic movie franchise that apparently is in the works for a Top Gun 3. I have no idea what they're going to do with Tom Cruise. He's like 63 years old, and even though he takes great care of himself, but the idea of a fighter jet pilot being like 65 years old, okay, that might be a little much. And I'm a guy who sat there and watched and enjoyed the last Indiana Jones movie when Harrison Ford was like 110 years old and still running around with a bullwhip and a pistol. We will stomach a lot for nostalgia, but I'm not sure producers are going to sit there and say, "Tom, you can go back in the Navy fighter jet thing and do your thing." I don't think so. It's probably going to be Glenn Powell. But I digress. I have had problems with Top Gun since it came out in 1986, and here is why. But they're not really the problems. They were more forced than they were real. So let's go back to 1986, shall we? 86, I am in middle school, and I am working for the student newspaper. And at the time, I was an aspiring movie critic. You remember movie critics? Before Rotten Tomatoes and all that, movie critics were a huge thing for a long, long time. I'm talking about Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. Certainly Janet Maslin of the New York Times was renownedly famous and feared for her acid pen that she would lethally use to describe films. That's what I wanted to be. I loved movies. I loved sophisticated movies. I loved adult movies. I loved movies that somebody my age should not be watching. No seventh grader or eighth grader should have been enjoying the movies that I liked, but I did because I wanted to be smarter than everybody else, or because what probably really happened back then was I was living in a much older house, so the movies that I was exposed to were rather a little more advanced than, say, for somebody my age. And when Top Gun came out, I would have been 14 years old, I think, 13 or 14 years old. And that's a movie that at 13 or 14 years old, I'm like, this is amazing. Oh my God, look at all these fighter jets and flying all over the place. And there's Tom Cruise, and there's Val Kilmer, and there's Kelly McGillis, and Rick Rosovich, and all these other things. That's a movie I should like. And we're going to win the Cold War with just a couple young pilots by themselves. That's a movie I should have liked, but I didn't at the time. So for my student newspaper, I went to Eastwood Middle School. We had a section for me called Max Movies. I even spelled it correctly, where I would write a movie review of the latest films coming out. And as a window, I should have seen what was coming, because I thought, oh, I've got an idea. Top Gun is coming out on VHS. That was a big deal back then. When movies, they would be in the theater for a long time, and then they would have to go through this sort of period of darkness, and then they would be released on home video cassette. You would get in your car, you would drive to a store dedicated to movie rentals, And when that movie came out, that was going to be a big buy. They used to charge like $75 to buy a film on a VHS tape. I'm like, how can I write about this? Because I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill Top Gun. So I did. So I write this scathing movie review of Top Gun because that's what critics do. They criticize it, they shit all over it, and this sucks, and this is bad, and this is awful. And anything that's popular is bad to a critic, right? Just garbage. It's junk food. Why would we like this? This is awful. Blah. So I'm right in that wheelhouse of reading all these different critics and watching critic shows and thinking, yeah, that's what I'm going to be. So I'm going to emulate these people, and I'm just going to rip the living crap out of Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis, Rick Rozovich. Tim Robbins was in that. I'm just going to slaughter Top Gun. So I do. And including, there's a line in the review I remember I wrote, the movie cruises down the drain. Thank you. I was quite proud of myself at that. And, well, needless to say, I got the reaction I was looking for. We printed up the student newspaper and people read it, and they are not happy with me. People would come up to me, and I remember at the time when I was in middle school, I was not exactly the most popular. I was kind of a weird kid. Imagine that. And, but people were coming up to me saying, your review stunk. I don't totally agree with it. I don't agree with it. The movie's great. You're wrong. And I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, okay, I kind of got the reaction that I wanted, but I was genuine in my thoughts and feelings about the movie. I didn't think it was any good back then. But that was dumb. So then fast forward 15, 20 years later, I'm watching it one night on AMC or whatever it is, Paramount Network. I thought, this is pretty good. This is pretty fun. This was way ahead of its time. Certainly, I was able to appreciate as a kid then the amazing work that the filmmakers did by putting a camera inside a fighter jet and shooting those aerial sequences. That was amazing. We had never seen anything like that. And to go to a big screen and to be put in the cockpit of a fighter jet for some sequences was truly remarkable. And then later, as I got older, segue into something that I'm very reluctant to share, is that I got a chance to fly with the Blue Angels. I have a contract with myself that I have to bring this experience up at least once a month to somebody. Any breathing entity, dog, goldfish, human being, senior citizen who is deaf or blind, anybody, I have to sit there and tell them I flew with the Blue Angels. Did the whole thing. Thank you very much. I got the whole Blue Angels experience. I suffered whiplash on the inverted climb. I went and saw a masseuse, or not a masseuse, but a chiropractor. And the chiropractor said, yeah, that's what you experience right there, because he watched the video that you can see now. You watched the video. He said, that's basically a car crash or two. Huh. That was cool. Let's see. I blacked out. I thought I died. Legitimately, I thought I died. I thought I had gone to heaven, and I was worried about what was going to happen to my daughter. Yep. I can't make that up. And I dry heaved for 2 minutes. But before then, I did the full inversion Top Gun thing. My pilot, who I think his number was 7. He did the 4G negative G inverted dive, and I didn't have my Polaroid camera like they did in Top Gun, and I couldn't give the MiG pilot my finger. No, I was basically holding on for dear life at that point. I wasn't thinking about doing a Top Gun move, but as you can see here, I did it. I was a Top Gun passenger. And I got to tell you, as somebody who did fly with the Blue Angels, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, I didn't have a problem with the accuracy of the aerial sequences. And this is my real problem with Top Gun. Now that I'm older, I appreciate that was a fun, badass movie. It was awesome. Yeah, I know Tom Cruise is only 5'7", and that's ridiculous. And there's some other facets to it that if you go online, you can find actual Navy pilots who will just cut these movies up. And it's actually really, really funny. I'm not here to do that. Because there are particular parts of this movie that really confound me. It's not the volleyball scene. I get it. Clearly, people who were associated with that movie want to see young, good-looking guys in like just coming out of the shower wearing nothing but a towel. I wasn't one of them. Clearly, there were a whole bunch of people associated with that movie who wanted to put young, good-looking guys in shorts playing a very competitive beach volleyball match. By the way, we never did get the score. I'm a little befuddled by the fact. And we don't even know what kind of scoring they were doing. Were they doing rally scoring? And we don't even know. I have a problem with those kinds of things. Like, who's keeping score? Why isn't there a scoreboard? Those are the problems that I have really with Top Gun. And this. These are the real problems that I have with Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. When the pilots are flying around, they're wearing oxygen masks. Oxygen masks typically deliver oxygen to you to help you breathe at altitude. When I flew with the Blue Angels, I don't know if I mentioned that. When I flew with the Blue Angels, I didn't need oxygen. Probably would have helped me, preventing me from blacking out. Pulling a G is no joke, by the way, because I flew with the Blue Angels. I don't know if I mentioned that. So when these pilots are flying around and they do these maneuvers, what's the first thing they do? They pull off the mask. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you pulling the mask off? That's ridiculous. Put the mask back on. You need oxygen. But they do it because it's some cool visual. I'm talking about the person who's flying in Top Gun in a fictional movie saying, oh, why were you wearing it in the first place? Okay, so I have that issue. But there's a much bigger one with Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick I'm going to get into here after the break.
Hello, it's Mike Reiner of Your Dark Companion here. Let me ask you, are you looking for something to fill the long dead air hours of your day? Well, join the Sunset Lounge DFW and Your Dark Companion on patreon.com, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Replace those sad, slow hours with sports, pop culture, music woven into interesting conversations. So step inside the green door, have a seat at the bar, and get in the groove with those shows and so very much more.
My hair never wants to cooperate. It's probably the burden of having hair still at my age. I'm not going to rub that in anybody's faces. So here's my problem with Top Gun, my big problems with Top Gun. In terms of accuracy and, it's not realistic. And I hate those people. God, I hate those people who sit there and watch fucking Star Wars. I'm like, that would never happen. Yeah, okay, you can believe the other parts where you've got space cowboys and robots and everybody else who can talk freely and understand a Wookiee. Yeah, that part you can deal with. But the other part that that's too much for this suspension of disbelief. Really? You can believe this robot that has 2 joints on it and little things that aren't even have ball bearings and can move anywhere seamlessly. That part you buy. So this is give me a break. So I'm not that guy, but this is where I am this guy, and I have an issue with Top Gun, both Top Gun the original and Top Gun Maverick. Okay, so if you remember at the end of Top Gun 40 years ago, Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer have graduated from Top Gun. They're celebrating, and then during the celebration, commanding officer says, "We're going to war." Now, at that time, we could say who we are going to war with. The Soviet Union and communism was still very much the wrong side of the tracks and the bad guys. That's who we were going to war with. And instead of sending our best, established, veteran crew to go fight the best, they go send college graduates. In what planet and what do we sit there and send the ones who just finished school 2 days ago? Can you name me an investment firm that sits there and says, we got to close a big deal, gentlemen. We here at Wells Fargo or Charles Schwab, we got to get the best. Who's the best here in the room? I got it. How about Bill and Tom? They just finished school yesterday from the Wharton School of Business. Done. It's ridiculous. You would never do that. If you're going to make a movie, We got to get established big name stars. You're going to make The Devil Wears Prada 2. Who are you going to get? Meryl Streep or Meryl Johnson, who's in her second year at Juilliard? Got to sell tickets. You're going with Meryl Streep. You're going to do something like that. You're going to somebody who's got name and credentials and some skins. You're not going to, hey, Val Kilmer. Yeah. Listen, you're exceptionally good looking, man. And you kicked ass in that volleyball match on the sand without anybody keeping official score. Yeah, we've got a bit of an issue in the Gulf, or pardon me, in the Pacific. Yeah, there's a couple of MiG planes flying around that are maybe a threat to the American way of life. Do me a favor. We're going to put you on this plane, put you on a boat, and then you're going to go up there and knock these guys out of the sky. Don't you think Val Kilmer, Iceman, would say, gee whiz, Captain, yeah, I just finished school 48 hours ago. Do we think I'm the best one for this job? And yet we're stupid enough to believe that they're going to ask those guys, including Tom Cruise, who, by the way, his partner just died like 2 months ago. The Navy just got done exonerating him, which I think is bullshit, but that's for a different argument. They're going to send him up for that, so that's one of my problems. Now, here's the other one. And this one bleeds into Top Gun. So as you can see here, I was wrong. Tom Cruise, Maverick, Iceman have figured out how to work together as a team, and they have defeated the Soviet Union by themselves. No different than Rocky stunning Ivan Drago on Christmas in the Soviet Union and turning the entire crowd from pro-communism to pro-America, pro-capitalism during a 15-round fight. And as you can see here on this clip, look at the excitement between Iceman and Maverick as they put aside their differences and they realized they have a lot more in common, and they are now partying. Look at the people behind them. Look at the support crew. Look at the fandom going on here as they celebrate. And here's my problem. Look how long it lasts. Look at the enthusiasm. That's ridiculous. This one goes on for almost 60 or 70 seconds of everybody just surrounding everybody. Yeah, 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 yeah. Give me a fucking break. That's ridiculous. I can buy everything else about the excitement of defeating the Soviet Union and supporting these college grads going out there against all odds and figuring it out and getting through your shit to knock them off. That I get, but it's not going to last at that intensity celebrating for 70 seconds. It's preposterous, and it really bothers me. Like, cut it off. Give it 20 seconds. Give it 30 seconds. But at minute and 10, I'm not buying it. It's bullshit. I'm not buying it, and neither should you. It's offensive to the movie goer. Now, I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but I do say, give me a break. How do they keep on everybody around them? Like the hourly wage employees, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you would think eventually, like, oh, man, we got stuff to do. We better go secure the plane. That thing's getting ready to roll on the Pacific. Might want to go secure it. Like, what are we doing for dinner? Like, it's nothing. It's just like it kept up. And then at the very end of that partying scene, this guy walks away by himself. Like, where's he going? Like, is there like an invisible rope? Like, nobody can follow him? Maybe he's got to go to the bathroom. So that's the first part that bothers me. And I don't think I'm out of bounds to express that concern. So now, here's another one. We go into Top Gun Maverick, which, let me give you Max Movies reviews. Badass, kick-ass, loved it. Was so much better than it needed to be. All credit Tom Cruise, all credit the cast, the producers, everybody. That movie was great. That is summer popcorn junk, and it was a really good movie. That's a movie that makes you say, this was worth the time, effort, and energy to go to the theaters. I loved it. I'd see it again. I have seen it again. It never gets tiresome. The movie blazes on, even though it's over 2 hours, and it is quick, and you don't even know you're there. That movie rocks. And it totally deserved to be nominated for Best Picture, because those are the movies that make people want to go to the movies and watch a movie. So, put that out of the way. However, I'm sitting here watching this and I'm enjoying it. And it's the last scene in the whole movie. Now we see Anthony Edwards' son, who has figured out his stuff with Tom Cruise and Maverick. And now he's in the hangar working on planes while Tom Cruise is flying up with Jennifer Connelly. And then Rooster looks at the wall and he sees a photo of himself celebrating with Maverick after they defeated the unannounced opposition because we didn't want to offend anybody. This is in 1986. And then my first reaction is, who's the photographer? Like, do you have somebody in charge of social media influencing on the deck when the plane lands that there's a photographer running around to capture moments to put on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, anything? It's total bullshit. And if you look at, so I have a real problem with that. I'm like, who's holding that camera? Look at the picture. The picture's phenomenal. Perfect clarity, captures Tom Cruise, Maverick, in an embrace. He's very happy that he's done it again. And then there's Rooster saying, it's all right, you killed my dad. This is awesome. Like, I want to know who the photographer was, and specifically, what kind of camera we're using. That's a phenomenal shot. It was not an iPhone, although iPhones have gotten pretty good at it these days. So I've got a bit of an issue with that. Now, before that, here's my other issue with this film. Once again, for the second time, Tom Cruise and his partner have heroically defeated the enemy, and now they need to land on an aircraft carrier someplace in the world. And this plane's in bad shape, right? Landing gear's fucked up. Doesn't have a lot of space. Somehow, Maverick manages to land safely. And even John Hamm, who didn't like Maverick, has to concede, dude got the job done. I can buy all that. Even if he did the flyby, I can buy all that. It's cool. However, here's my issue. And by the way, the aerial sequences in this movie are unbelievable. You could have made the outtakes a full 90-minute film in and of itself. So here's my issue. And as I'm sitting here looking at this clip on my phone, and I'm playing it for you on hopefully you're watching this. Here's my issue. Now the plane has got to land. It lands. Yay, it's amazing. Tom Cruise gets out. Maverick has done it again. Rooster has done it again. He's honored his dead dad that Maverick killed. And look at the celebration. Look at the party. Like, this is going on. This is like Mardi Gras plus San Fermin, which runs between for the running of the bulls. Everybody's excited. Look at the excitement. Everybody else clapping their hands at the same level of intensity for more than a minute. I can't buy it. It's total bullshit. You don't do that. But go watch touchdowns. Go watch teams that win Super Bowls. They're excited for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then it just kind of settles down a little bit. Not this one. This just keeps going and going and going, even as these two have conversations and sit there and pay their respects to the great Maverick. Look at the people in the background just going bananas. And then there's John Hamm like, oh, good job, Maverick. I think you suck, but okay, it's all right. And everybody, look at everybody waving, they're pumping their arms. Like, who are the poor extras in the background sitting there saying, okay, get excited for about a minute and 20 seconds constantly. Nobody's doing that for anything. And yet somehow they want us to believe that this goes on for almost 2 full minutes, that the people celebrating this big win maintain that level of excitement and expression and jubilation for 2 minutes. I don't buy it. It's bullshit. I can buy everything else about Maverick. I can buy everything else about Top Gun. You know that scene, badass scene, by the way, where they get ready to do the final aerial assault and do the run, and they got to do all this other stuff. And you got these 4 planes flying in insanely tight formation. They're like 3 feet apart. And then for some reason, the Navy decides, okay, we're going to send in the missiles now ahead of time to knock out their radars. And the missiles are like 8 feet from them. Seems a little tight. I don't care. I can buy it. Or some of these other things that happen in the course of these first two films that I'm like, okay, that's a little ridiculous, but I can buy it and I enjoy it. Now more than ever, as an adult, I can sit there and say that the teenage version, the Max movie critic that ripped apart Top Gun in 1986 is dead wrong here in 2026, because that's why people want to go to the movies, and I loved it, and I hope they make another one, and I get really excited about it. My only request is the next time that we win the war, however that's going to look like, and they get on the tarmac, whether it's a tarmac or an aircraft carrier, do not make me believe that the celebration's going to go on for 2 straight minutes, or that somehow you've got a cameraman right there to capture the moments. I don't buy it. See you next time.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.